Hello, everybody. It's so nice to see you on this beautiful spring day. We hope that it's all right with all of you that we're here doing a pre-recorded conversation. I think this time of year is so busy, and as a result of that, we've had fewer RSVPs to our Zoom conversations than in the past. And so we just really felt strongly that we wanted more of you to be able to access this really important topic. So here we are on a recording, and anyhow, let's get started on talking about stress and adaptogens. Eliza.
Okay, thank you guys. And thank you, Christy. Okay, so what is stress? Stress is any factor, negative or positive, that requires the body to respond or change. Stress creates an imbalance, and then the body has to adapt to return itself to balance or to homeostasis. So there's tons of research on the beneficial effects of mild stress on aging and longevity. The body adapts to mild stress, and in doing so becomes flexible and stronger. So exercise is a perfect example of the beneficial adaptive responses to stress. You push your body, you ask it to deal with stress, and you build endurance. Intermittent fasting is another great example. You are stressing your body by not feeding it the way it's used to, and its response can be corrective, balancing the microbiome and lowering cardiometabolic risk. But it is the chronic long-term stress and imbalances that take a toll. These can be physiological stressors like infections, food sensitivities, sleep deprivation, excessive processed foods, even excessive exercise, actually, toxic chemicals. And then there's also the perceived stressors, the frustration and discord in relationships or at work, time pressures, loss. All of these things create the same response in the body, right? But with stress, perception is reality. So the same person two different people could go through the same experience, but the way we perceive it adds stress. So in response to a stressor, our adrenal glands produce adrenaline and cortisol. Cortisol is a powerful and unfortunately potentially age-advancing hormone. It blocks insulin from taking sugar out of the blood so that the sugar is available in the blood for immediate energy. This is to run from the saber-toothed tiger, right? So adrenaline and cortisol raise blood pressure, increase breathing rate, but they also suppress digestion and suppress immune function and suppress reproductive function and sex hormones like estrogen. And so because all of these are not necessary for immediate survival, right? So the fight or flight hormones have us shut down everything but high blood sugar, high blood pressure, and big emergency inflammatory responses. In the wild, this short-term stress response is super effective. It is not well adapted to the long term because it never stops. It's just constant. So during the chronic stress, a negative feedback loop results in sustained high levels of cortisol, sustained high blood sugar and inflammation, and just a whole cascade of events which wear the body down. Including the release of inflammatory molecules that cause cell damage. The stress also causes hormone imbalance in the adrenals, and the levels of estrogen and progesterone are lower. And as you know, low estrogen has a lot of ramifications. The high cortisol and high sugar screw up our digestion, our metabolism. It increases our weight. It elevates our cholesterol. It can weaken our bones and our immunity and even our brain function. So while intellectually, I've known for a long time that stress has real physiological consequences that promote aging, it took me forever to begin to accept that at a deeper level. So the bottom line is the health and well-being of our adrenals is key to how well the body responds to stress. When the adrenals are strong and vital and well nourished and like able to pivot and adapt, women can make their way through menopause and beyond with fewer difficulties.
Yeah, so it may be obvious to you that you have too much stress in your life, but it's also possible that you're so used to the stress that you don't realize the impact it may be having on your body. So, what are some indicators that your adrenals are challenged if you are not aware of that level of stress? So, some of the indicators are hot flashes and night sweats, brain fog and memory loss, migraines, especially frequent ones, weight gain, belly fat, water retention. Some people experience constipation or thinning skin. There's anxiety, depression, fatigue, and apathy. And then another indicator is new and surprising reactions to small amounts of alcohol. So you'll see a lot of overlap here between stress symptoms or adrenal symptoms and perimenopause or menopause. So there are a bunch of things that we can do to improve our response to stress. And we focus on many of these in other areas of the program. Eliza and I think that first and foremost, it's most important to identify what the root cause of your stress is. Is it work? Is it your relationship? Is it something in the logistics of your daily life? So we believe that you should work to improve those first. Then remember how Eliza described how when our adrenals produce cortisol in response to stress, it makes our blood sugar go crazy. So balancing our blood sugar is therefore another way to support our adrenals. So we can do this by paying attention to our caffeine and our alcohol intake, and by reducing our sugar and refined carbohydrate intake. And then there are other ways to help reduce stress that are very personal. So we've spelled them out in emails, but I wanted to mention a few of my favorites. So my number one favorite stress reducer is a daily outside walk. And even if it happens to be a day when the weather is really bad, or I'm dreading it, or I just don't want to make time for it for whatever reason, I am always 100% of the time glad that I did it, every single time. So I always feel afterwards invigorated, happier, and calmer. And I know my body is happier too. So it's one of those things that I've learned to just kind of overcome and just walk out the door. Another one is trees for me, that's connected to that daily walk. Because they're so much larger than I am, it really puts my stress into context and my challenges. And I just love that feeling. And then about half my walks are alone and half are with friends. And the ones with friends also really feed me and kind of nourish me in a way that's also stress reducing. So, and then finally, I love Epsom salt baths. And I know that the Epsom salt gives me needed magnesium, and magnesium also helps manage stress. But also, I just love the feeling of being in I love being in a warm bath and doing nothing. And the zoning out is just amazing. So, and then possibly our favorite stress releaser is the herbs that we, both of us, turn to and that we have talked about in the program, which are adaptogens. They reduce the impact on our adrenals, and we're going to talk about adaptogens now.
Okay, so when we say be the change, nourishing ourselves through menopause, one of the most important things we mean to share there is the idea of nourishing your adrenals with adaptogenic herbs. The word adaptogen refers to the hormone regulating and immune modulating effects of certain plants that increased a person's ability to remain balanced in the face of physical and emotional stress. So adaptogens increase our resistance, allowing us to adapt to stressful circumstances. With our neuroendocrine system, so our nerves and our hormones in the driver's seat, adaptogens provide support by shifting, braking, turning, and controlling the gas pedal to regulate speed. They provide nourishment to our adrenals and allow them to conserve hormonal resources.
So there are a lot of shared attributes of many of the adaptogens that we're going to talk about. So I'll list those shared attributes, which are really incredible. So all adaptogens improve our response to physical, emotional, and environmental stress, and they provide a sense of calm and increased energy and vitality. Adaptogens are particularly useful in perimenopause and in menopause for addressing chronically elevated cortisol and adrenal exhaustion and the potentially accompanying depression and anxiety. Adaptogens support our immune system and reduce the risk of heart disease and cancer. And they support our cognitive function, including eliminating brain fog and sharpening our focus. We like to call the brain fog peri-brain. And then the adaptogens also improve memory and actually reduce the aging of brain cells. All adaptogens calm inflammation, they relieve fatigue, and they even reduce insomnia, which is really important.
So adaptogens often work better in combination than when used separately. This is the concept of herbal synergy, which has been practiced for thousands of years in traditional Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic medicine. And it's similar to other plant combinations, like black pepper and turmeric results in the greater absorption of the turmeric, and therefore a more potent anti-inflammatory effect. Tomatoes and garlic together lead to greater antioxidant activity. So in this case, the combined adaptogens produce a greater therapeutic than just 1 + 1 = 2. And so they enhance each other, and they can also mellow each other out because some of them are particularly stimulating. There are primary adaptogens that have a particularly profound restorative effect, like ashwagandha, rhodiola, eleuthero. And then there's secondary adaptogens, which are particularly profound when combined with the primary adaptogens. And that's things like bacopa, tulsi, or holy basil, reishi, and shatavari. And then there are adaptogenic companions. So these are herbs, often culinary herbs, that enhance the primary and secondary adaptogens. And so that includes ginger, turmeric, green tea, nettles.
So we know there is a lot to try to incorporate here. So our goal is to give you some practical and personal applications that will be more accessible to you. So adaptogenic herbs can easily be added to your daily smoothie. You can add them to warm plant-based milk or coffee. You can even use them in baking or sprinkled over oatmeal or yogurt. And then you can also find them in tea blends, and you can make your own. And we kind of lay those out in the program. In email number 15, we give you a lot of information and different applications for adaptogens. So my favorite adaptogens that I take every day are maca, tulsi, ashwagandha, and rhodiola.
And I drink adaptogens every morning, including rhodiola, eleuthero, shatavari, danshan, nettles, maca, and then bacopa for increased focus, memory, and energy. I simmer approximately 1 teaspoon of each root together in 1 quart of water for 20 minutes. And I take adaptogens this way because it's less expensive to buy the loose, dry herbs, and also because I love to touch them and smell them and feel them. And we actually have a Wise Woman tea on our website, which is similar to what I make every morning.
So in closing, we wanted to encourage you to go back to email 15 to get more details on specific adaptogens. You can also look at the symptoms chart, which is in the resources page of the Little Green website. So, and just as a refresher, if you're dealing with anxiety, you can try bacopa or reishi. If brain function is your challenge, you can try eleuthero or rhodiola. For high cholesterol, tulsi or eleuthero. And for sleep, ashwagandha is a really good one. So Eliza and I have chosen our favorites over time through really a careful combination of both research and through intuition. So if you find one or two that you think makes you feel better, stick with it and consider adding another. And just remember that it can take a few months sometimes to really notice a difference from adaptogens. So we hope that is helpful to you. And we hope you enjoy adaptogens as much as we do. And thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.